Hello everybody. Welcome to showcase for iteration number 27. So our actual velocity for this iteration was 21 against the plan 20, which means we have done good. I'll quickly lead you through the highlights of whatever has happened over the last iteration, which is iteration number 27. First, highlights of whatever was done in VRMIS. So we started off on the sync story for both a single user and multiple users for the same facility. We started on that. Those two stories were completed as well. We also completed a story for deleting the cache for a zone program and period that was downloaded on each browser. Now the user who is doing caching on the browser also has the ability to delete the zone program and period that he has cached. So that's a cool new feature that we have added. We did some work on the roles and rights for both shipment and proof of delivery. Those three stories were played. We started work on the budget feature with the configuration of budget file via the UI, which will be done by the admin. This story was completed. As far as emergency requisition flow is concerned, we did complete the entire basic emergency flow structure. We are currently discussing the enhancements for the emergency requisition flow, and these will be developed over the coming iterations. So analysis is on as to what are the features that are required in addition to the basic emergency structure that we have developed already. We restarted the work for contract APIs that was pending for some time. It was being prioritized till now. We have restarted the priority on the contract APIs as well, and we developed the facility REST API, which we will be showcasing as well. We have added sorting functionality to all the list screens for R&R screens. The order listing has sorting facility, which has been done. For a UI enhancement on R&R form, we will be showcasing one methodology that can be possibly adopted for the horizontal scroll. What happens right now is when you scroll horizontally on an R&R form, you lose track of what product and product code are you seeing the beginning balance or stock on hand or other details for. So what we have done right now is we have basically looked at an approach by which we can freeze the first two columns of a R&R form. The progress on, we have also started the analysis for skipped products for emergency requisition flow. That analysis on the way, and we hope to get some stories lined up, hopefully in the coming iterations. There was a tech task that we did for merging both the order ID as well as R&R ID, which means that from now on, both R&R and order will have the same IDs and they will not be two separate independent IDs. They will be distinguishable, but we provide the same ID for both order as well as R&R. The proof of delivery and the manual shipment feature also was completely analyzed. Stories have been lined up for this. It's just that we need to prioritize them in the coming iterations. So those were the key highlights that we did from an entire iteration perspective. Let's start off with three stories which belong to VRMIS mostly, which is partial sync of data by a single user, partial sync of data by multiple users, and delete cache on the VRMIS. So what we have done currently is in VRMIS, when a field coordinator logs in, we allow the field coordinator to basically download the ZTP combination. So let's choose delivery zone first, vaccine, and for, let's say, the period for March. So it has come in. For this user, you would notice that there's a small new icon which is for delete. Let's use it to download the same ZTP combination in a different browser as well. So let me just log in. Okay. Okay, so it was delivery zone first, vaccines, and period was March, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so there is a message which says that, this GBP combination was already cached by some other user on such and such time. So let's download. So both these browsers have the same data that has been downloaded. So let's first see that the user goes to record data, and we have added a new legend on the site which says that these are legends which show the status of what is the status of the record data for each individual facility. The red means the data has entry of data for that facility has not been started yet. Yellow means it has been partially completed. Green means the facility data has been entered by the field coordinator but has not been synchronized. Blue means the field coordinator has basically entered the data for the facility and it has got synchronized, and this same data is now available on the OpenLMIS server. You can notice that there is a new entry there as well, which is a gray, which says cannot synchronize. This happens in the case two users download the same CPP data. The first user has synchronized this data on his browser to the OpenLMIS server, and the second user basically enters data for the same GPP, tries to synchronize. What happens is the data is not lost from the browser, but he gets a message saying that this data cannot be synchronized because there's already an existing copy in the OpenLMIS server. So this in a way tells the second user that, hey, look, somebody else has already synchronized this data. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So let's see that for village dispensary F10, if you notice the mark against that, the legend which says it has not been started yet, let's go ahead and fill that data for village dispensary. So let's go ahead, edit, put in values for the refrigerator, don't know, number of 0, not recorded, done. You notice refrigerator has turned green, API use. I'm going to apply NR to all fields just to save time for entering. I click on observations, all is well. All right, let's see what is the status of the facility. It has changed to green. Just notice that the coverage is still red. This is because we haven't implemented it yet. Once we implement that, only when the coverage also turns green, the village dispensary label turns green. So we have done that. What happens now is let's go back to manage distribution. Let's try and sync this data. It says village dispensary F10 was synced successfully. Let's go back to the record data. Look at F10. It is in blue, which signifies that OpenLMIS server has the same data that the user has entered on his browser and it has been synced. So this is the data that has been synced to the OpenLMIS server. Okay, now let's look at the second story, which is another user or another browser which is trying to record the same data. So let's see that, for March 2013, because this has already been cached, it will be there in the browser cache of the second user. Okay, you look at facility F10, it's still red in color. This user goes ahead, deletes this refrigerator, goes to the API use screen, does apply NR to all values, observation screen, my notes. Please check that I have done it as my notes. We'll come back to this column once more to tell you more about it. Name is wants to be the admin. Anjali is sitting right here, is the store in charge. All right, so look at F10, it has gone green. Now let's try and synchronize this data for the second browser. We click on sync. We get a message that the facility data was already synchronized by some other user. All right, we go back to record data. You will notice that F10 has now turned gray, and also the data is no more editable, but the data you have entered is not lost, which means that whatever data you have entered can always be taken back to the admin, or it's kept there for your reference, just that you cannot edit it further or synchronize it back to the OpenLMIS server. This is the first person who synchronized it, who gets the ability to synchronize it back to the OpenLMIS server, right? So this data is not lost unless you want to explicitly delete it, which is what we're going to try and do next, right? So this is the new addition, the new cross button, which is a delete cache button, which is the next story. So I click on the delete cache. The user is given a warning which says that, are you sure you want to delete this distribution? And any data that has not been synchronized with the server will be lost. So if you go ahead and do an OK, this data is cleared from the browser cache. You can always re-download it back unless all the facilities for that particular GPC combination have been synchronized to OpenLMIS. Right. So with that, those were the three stories that we did in VRMI. I'll hand it over to Swapnil to continue on the OpenLMIS as well as contract stories.
Okay, thanks, Dinesh. Hello, everyone. So I'll start with OpenLMIS stories. So I have to log out from field coordinator, who is a VRMIS user. So first of all, I log in as admin. I go to role section. So the first story is basically related to feature of proof of delivery. So as we all know from our previous showcases, that we have developed our RNR flow till shipped status. So once a store in charge initiates a requisition, it is approved by the approver. It is converted to order by the LME in charge and the people who are responsible for that. And then it is shipped to respective ERP system. ERP systems tag some products and prepare a shipment file. Then they send that shipment file back to OpenLMIS and the order status becomes tagged. Now the next implementation will be tracking the details of the received quantity. So once truck driver takes quantities and go to the facility to submit a product, he will capture the details of the product quantity for which they have delivered to the store in charge. So for that, to start the feature, as a first story, we just have added a new type of role section here. Here you can see initially there were admin and general rights, allocation rights, and request rights. Now we have added fulfillment-based rights. These fulfillment-based rights basically deal with convert to order, fill shipment, and manage POD. So I select that section. You can see a new right coming here, which is order-manage POD. So as part of a proof of delivery feature, we just have developed this first story, where a user can create a role having order manage POD story. So I'll create a role here saying manager, manage delivery. And as you can see with the manage POD right, we are giving view order right implicitly, because in future when we develop the screens where a user can manually enter receive the details for product, after submitting, he can view on the order page what the status of the order. So once received quantities are submitted, order status will become received and the RNR flow ends in a loop. So I save this user. So manager created successfully. Now I go to user section, add new. Yeah. So as you can see, we have made one enhancement in our user screen. Initially, all the sections were in expand form and the page was getting a bit cluttered, and it was difficult for the user to scroll vertically every time he wants to see a particular section. Now we have developed some accordions here. As you can see, currently all roles are in collapse form. You can click on expand all. It will give you view of all the role assignments that you can give to this particular user. If you click on collapse all, they will get collapsed. If you want to work on a particular section, just click on that section and you can assign roles. So this is one UI enhancement that we have made on user grid screen. So moving to our further story. So I have created a role which is manager, and that role is having a manage POD rights. As you can see, we have introduced a new section here which is warehouse roles. So this manage POD, convert to order, and fill shipment rights, these rights will be given on a particular warehouse. So a person or the head of the warehouse who is sitting on that particular warehouse, he will have the right to submit those received quantity details for all orders which belongs to his particular warehouse. So I'll select a warehouse. All the warehouses which are part of supply line in OpenLMIS will appear here. I can select a particular warehouse. And as you can see, these are the roles which have fulfillment-based rights appearing here. So I have created a new role previously which says manager. I select it and I can simply add that role. So now a particular user whom I am creating, let's say software or someone. So this particular user is having manage POD rights on this village dispensary warehouse. So all the orders which are mapped to this warehouse will be listed in this in the UI of manager UI, and he will be able to enter shipment details or manage POD rights that I have given currently. So this was a manage POD role. Moving back to the role screen. Yeah. So another change on this screen, as you can see, the convert to order right. So initially, convert to order right was a admin and general operation right, where we are listing all the requisitions for OpenLMIS system into one screen, and particular LME in charge or there was a master user who can convert all these requisitions to order. Now, as per our feedback, we have moved this right to a fulfillment-based right, and now similar to manage POD, this right will be given on a particular warehouse. Now, a person who is in charge of a warehouse will have the option or the right to convert requisitions only belonging to his or her warehouse. He can't convert requisitions or he can't see requisitions belonging to other warehouses. So this was a change we have made in current iteration. So summarizing this, we have introduced a new section which says fulfillment-based right, added new role which says manage POD. Shipment right I have already showcased in previous iteration. Another change was moving convert to order right from admin section to fulfillment-based section. And in user screen, as I have showcased, we have added a new section of warehouse roles, where the rights and roles can be given on a particular warehouse. So this was from a user and role section. Moving further. So in this iteration, as Vijesh mentioned in the highlight, we started the feature of budget, like displaying the budget of a particular facility for a particular program for a particular period in R&R screens. As part of this feature, we have played one first story of the feature which says configuring the budget file. This budget file behavior will work similarly to the shipment file behavior. ERP system who is responsible for maintaining budget for the facility, they will be sending files into our system, and we will be polling those files and will be tracking budgets for each specific period. In order to read that file, we need a UI via which admin can configure that file, what fields they want, in what order, etc. So here you can see there are 3 to 4 configurable options. First one says include column header. This selection and deselection will indicate whether OpenLMIS system have to parse first row of the file or not. If I say include column header, then OpenLMIS system will start reading from the second row and first row will be ignored as header. If I deselect it, then we'll be starting reading from the first row itself. Second, as I mentioned, budget is applicable for a facility, for a program, and for a period. These 4 fields are mandatory and admin can't deselect them because OpenLMIS wants these fields to appear in the budget file so that we can update budget for a particular facility. Another configurable option you can see here is the date format. Period start date, admin can select whatever date format is usable in the country, whether it's DDMMYY or any separator you can select. Another configurable option is the position. So if particular country uses specific code in the first position, they can give first. Program code can be third, period start date can be second, etc. In order to parse file successfully, we have placed a duplicate position check for the included file. So let's say I made a period started third. So now program code and period both are having third position. If I click on save, it will say position number cannot have duplicate value. Apart from these mandatory fields, there is an option saying notes. If a particular ERP system wants to add some notes to particular facility, then admin of OpenLMIS can add this particular section field. Now OpenLMIS will read notes as a fifth position column in coming budget file. So this is the first story that we have played. This is related to budget feature, and in coming iteration, we will be processing the budget file and will be displaying the budget information in required places. The budget rights, the person who will be eligible to configure budget rights, we have merged that right with our EDI file format rights, where a particular user or the sysadmin can configure order file, shipment file also, and the budget file. So this was related to budget information. Moving further, I'll log in as a store in charge who has rights to create requisitions. Going to requisition page. So there was a feedback we have received regarding our requisition page. So as you can see in our normal configuration requisition page, there are a lot of columns there. So we are thinking of a possible solution to just freeze out or to display the product code and name as a reference while user is scrolling horizontally. If I select essential medicines, proceed. Yeah. So currently, as you can see, there are a lot of columns there. So as a user, when I'm filling these columns, I might be using tabs. Initially, before this UI enhancement, when we go to the end of the page, we were not able to view what product and name we are filling information. Now, what we have done, let me go to proper configured program template, where we can easily show this information. Yeah. So any two first columns of master template will be chosen out, and this is the one probable solution that we are working around, and we still will figure out a most appropriate way to freeze these columns. But this is the one solution that we have come up with our UI developer. So if I start filling data here, once I move, as you can see on horizontal scrolling, this product code and product name are always fixed. So if I'm at the last of this section, I can still view name and code for which I am filling data. So this is from a usability point of view, and this is one probable solution, and we will still working on that to enhance this feature. Moving further, in our last iteration, so we basically have showcased most of the flow of emergency requisitions. And as Dinesh mentioned, in this iteration, we have completed the flow for emergency requisition. This is the basic version 1 flow. Apart from that, we are still discussing on adding escape products option on emergency rack and other minor validations, which we plan to be part of the second version. So the story that we have covered in this iteration was approving an emergency requisition. So I select a program, type as emergency, proceed. So the submit and authorize stories we have already showcased in previous iteration. So I will just move to approve part. RNR is submitted. And log out as and log in as facility head who has the rights to authorize this RNR. Selecting. He has authorized rights as a supervisory right. So I select my supervised facility. Program was malaria. Facility was absent. Type was emergency. I can see a submitted RNR here. I open it and authorize. Now RNR is authorized. I'm logging as a medical officer who has approved rights on the first supervisory note for this RNR. Approved. Yeah. As you can see, there are previously also created RNRs which are listed here. You can see a flag here which indicates me that these RNRs are emergency RNR. I select one. So the change that we have made from emergency to regular RNR is the approved quantity section, which is here. So what we were doing in a regular RNR, like we were propagating the calculated order quantity into this approved quantity. But as we mentioned, as per our first emergency requisition version, we are not doing any calculation for emergency rack. User has to insert requested quantity in order to get replenishment. So in that case, we will be propagating 0 for all the products in approved quantity section. And approver can see the requested quantity thing and he can enter some values that he wants to approve. And the RNR is approved. So this is the change or the enhancement that we have made on emergency RNR flow. And with this story, our emergency RNR flow comes to an end, the first version of it, and we'll start working on second version in our coming iterations. Moving further, next story was related to introducing pagination on convert to order screens and having sorting or the across pages sorting on these screens. So I'll log in as LME in charge. Who has the rights to convert requisitions to order. So I have already set up some data or some requisitions to appear on this page so that I can explain sorting on the page. Yeah. So as you can see, we have introduced pagination here and now a new column section which says emergency. And also sorting was in place initially also, but now we have introduced pagination. So we have enhanced our sorting module and now we are doing sorting across all pages. So if I click on emergency, all emergency will come at top, and as I go to second page, the regular one go to bottom. Similarly, I can do, if you see there is one last row of essential medicines. So if I sort based on program, essential medicines comes at top and malaria at bottom, and same sorting is retained on second page. For all these columns, we have made sorting across pages because this page is having pagination. This was all about OpenLMIS story. Moving next to contract story. Yeah. So we have listed out certain APIs and we were continuously showcasing each API that we are developing in respective showcases. As part of contract flow, in this iteration, we have developed the facility REST API, which will allow contract or any external system or user to query details for individual facilities. So I'm using a browser because it's a GET request. So I'm using browser to showcase this API. So if you can see, I have inserted the URL and the code is F10, which is a valid specificity present in OpenLMIS. And we are also doing authentication of the URL or the API. So I have already entered username and password, but if the first time user is using these APIs, so he has to enter the respective credentials in order to use these APIs. So if I click on refresh, I'll get the details of facility, which will list me all facility details along with supported programs. If you can see here, vaccines, TB, malaria, essential medicine. So Comtrack or any other vendor can use this API to get all the details of a particular facility to use in required position. For example, Comtrack can query details of a parent facility to use them to assign it to a particular CHW or virtual facility. Apart from that, in contract flow, we have also done a tech task which is related to vendor cleanup. So initially what we were doing a vendor name or a system name for API authentication. And again, in the API content, we were using the user ID to check user-based permissions. As we have showcased, each action on OpenLMIS is based on certain rights and permissions. So there were two authentication we can say that we were using. As part of this tech task, we have a remove vendor from the system, and now we are using normal OpenLMIS user credentials, which will be used for both the purposes, authentication and also for user rights permission. So we just have to create a contract for any external system user in OpenLMIS, and he can use his credentials for authenticating also and for the rights and permissions also. So that was a tech task that we have done. So this is about contract flow. Apart from that, we have started other APIs developing for contract. So this is all about VRMIS, OpenLMIS, and contract. All done from our side. Any questions, right? You can, if any doubt or any feedback, you can share with Ron, and Ron, as usual, can convey those to us.
Is it the time to ask questions on anything or just on the part you just showed?
You can ask some general question if you have, or you can convey to Ron whatever you want to do.
Okay. Do you guys want to stop the recording? I just want to give that option before I try to.
I think Ron has that option.